right, you guys. Thanks all for coming. Thanks to all the organizers for organizing this awesome conference. The first two talks were so amazing. I can't put it in words. It was great, so I try to keep up with them. The topic today is Nuxt.js, and the talk's called Nuxt.js why, how, and oh yeah. So Nuxt.js, yeah, it was mentioned in a few talks before here and there. But before I get going, it's after the break now. So you had coffee, you had a bit of food, and back in school, I mean, I'm quite young. I left school a few years ago, and there was the one teacher, and every time he started a lesson, it was like, yeah, you know, coming from a break, your minds aren't fresh, you're still in the break mood. So what he did was like exercises, not like running around, just some small exercises. And that's what I want to do with you now. So please all stand up. Yeah? All stand up. No worries. There's okay. And now we won't do like jumping jacks or something. No. You will be able to sit down in a few seconds. And now I want all the people to sit down that have not heard of Nuxt.js before this day. Okay. And now, please, all the ones that have not played around with it at least. Not exactly. Okay, and now please all sit down who haven't used it in a real-life project. Okay, there's still a few, that's good. And now please sit down all the people that haven't finished a project with Nuxt.js inside. Yeah? Okay, yeah. Still ongoing. Okay, and now please all sit down who have not contributed to the ecosystem in any manner. Docs, code, workshops, spreading the word, whatever. Please sit down. Okay, and now all the rest, please sit down. Okay, thank you all for this short exercise. Clap for yourself. And I really hope you're now in the mood of getting a bit of Nuxt.js. The fun thing, when I was in school, I thought, oh, these damn stupid exercises, so please don't think the same. Okay, we are a worldwide team, just coming to the core team. We are 8 people at the moment. With the next release, there will be another one added. You can follow Nuxt.js on Twitter at Nuxt_js. And these are all very talented and kind people, very helpful people, and it's a pleasure to work with them. We all work in our free time. We don't get paid besides the founders, the creators, Alex and Sebastian. We all work in our free time and spend hours to make an awesome framework for you guys. About me, yeah, but also about you. The conference is about you. It's not about the speakers, it's about you. And that's why I want to know also your names. So please, could you tell me your names in 3, 2, 1? Awesome, nice to meet you all. Great, yeah, so I'm Alex from Germany. So usually Germans are very on time. We had some small technical issues. I'm happy everything works now. I'm a Nuxt.js core team member. On Twitter, yeah, almost every dev is Twitter. There, Alex Lichter. I know it's hard to pronounce it right, so don't worry. And I also have a blog where I blog about JavaScript, Nuxt.js, and so on. So I'm a student at the moment. I'm studying computer science. I'm also self-employed at a company called Development. So we're doing contract work, client work, consulting, and so on. But back to the topic. The talk is called Nuxt.js why, how, oh yeah. Coming to the why. Why should you use Nuxt.js? So the question is, why should you use a framework on top of another framework? I mean, we already have Vue. Why do we need another abstraction? Yeah, but there have to be reasons, right? I mean, there are few people using it here. There are many people outside this room using it. There should be some good reasons for it. So maybe one reason could be because a huge variety of companies put trust in it. Yeah. Okay, could be a thing around the globe. There's just a few here to mention. But large companies, small companies, all build not all of their projects, but some build all of their projects with Nuxt.js. This is just a small selection. We have like interesting names like Adobe or Microsoft here. Awesome. That could be a reason. But maybe another reason is because the community recommends it. So what I did in preparation, I just went through Twitter and YouTube and even Reddit, yeah, and looked for positive comments. And they were all over the place. Yeah, this is genius. Yeah, okay, thanks. Basically, what Rails does for developers is, I mean, I have no clue of Ruby. If that's true, that's an honor. This is awesome, guys. Cheers. Thanks. Have fun. So super cool. Thanks, Nuxt team. Yeah, and so on. But it's not about self-praising. I just want to show that people enjoy working with the framework, and this is important for us. There is one thing. Is there any reason not to use Nuxt? Yeah, that could be a question as well. But you see at the end, and there might be other reasons. Okay, maybe because it was the 4th fast-growing repo on GitHub last year. That could be a thing. Maybe your best friend says, yeah, try it out, it's super cool, you have to try it. Or maybe your CTO says, we're using this tech stack now, learn it. Yeah? Or maybe because you like the new logo. Who knows? These might be all valid. But still, it is another abstraction. It's still another abstraction, more to learn. Is it worth it? We'll see. Nuxt wants to make developers' life easier. That's the reason. We don't want to introduce more complexity. We want to make your life easier, and we want you to enjoy working with the framework. I mean, all of you, I guess, enjoy working with Vue.js anyway, but the experience can be enhanced. So, coming to the how. Yeah, why is clear, but then how does Nuxt does it actually? How does Nuxt makes the life easier for developers? So there are a few things. First of all, it comes with batteries included. It leverages the file system. It is optimized. It is versatile and modular, and most important, developer-friendly. Okay, now a few words here. This doesn't tell anyone how it actually achieves that, so we're going through all these points, and I'll tell you a few things about it. First of all, as I said, it comes with batteries included. Small disclaimer, I mean, I'm from Germany, we have to put disclaimers everywhere. Yeah, no physical batteries included. Okay. So, common libraries are included by default. Common libraries used in a Vue app, Vue router, of course. Who has built a Vue app without Vue router? Okay. Who has built a production-ready app without Vue router yet? Still a few. Good. Vuex, if needed. If you don't need Vuex, it's not included. But if you need it, it's there. You don't have to write a single line of configuration. It will be there. I'll show you how. And if you care about SEO, Vue Meta, very important as well. Then, build tools out of the box. So we have Babel with its own Nuxt.js preset. We have a fine-tuned Webpack configuration. And we have also PostCSS already included. Who is working with PostCSS? Okay, hands up who's not working with PostCSS? Okay, keep your hands up. Who has auto-prefixer enabled? Please lower your hands. Yeah, auto-prefixer is a PostCSS plugin. You all use PostCSS if you use auto-prefixer. And Nuxt also includes auto-prefixer by default, so you don't have to add it, it just works. All of these things just works out of the box. And then the predefined folder structure. Now some people come like, oh no, I can't configure this. They forced me to do it their way. No. But anyway, this is the default folder structure. You have an assets folder, components, layouts, middleware, pages, plugins, static, and store. And this is the same across every project if you don't configure it otherwise. So you feel at home. You know where files are. You know what's going on. And there's a place for almost every file. If not, you can create another folder. It's completely fine. And as I said, it's fully optional. So if you don't like it, just scrap it. That's fine. You can also use Nuxt if you don't want this folder structure, or if like your team leader says that, yeah, we have to put it there and there because they say so, or because there are good reasons for it. No problem. It is fully optional. And that's also the thing for most of the features that Nuxt gives you. If you don't like them, if you want to configure them, just do it. We don't want to lock you in. We don't want to force you using things you don't like. You can use all defaults we provide, but you can also freely change it. No problem at all. You can extend the Webpack config, change Babel, use some fancy new plugins and syntax, no problem. Supercharged components. So Nuxt introduces 2 new methods for server-side rendering called async data and fetch. I'll come to them in a second. We have page transitions built in. I mean, transitions are already nice with Vue, but Nuxt improves the handling of it when going from page to page or changing the layout. And talking about layout, we also have a layout concept. So you can say you have a page, and maybe you say, okay, there it should be with sidebar, and there maybe without. So you have a layout with a sidebar or not, you can change it by just setting a string. And maybe because TypeScript is on the rise. TypeScript support? Sure. It's still experimental, I have to admit, but it is there. Okay, batteries included, there we go. It leverages the file system. second point. Also here, I have to add a disclaimer, you know. Who of you does not know what a floppy disk is? Okay, great, nobody, perfect. Oh, okay. Leveraging the file system, an easy example, yeah? We talked about Vue route and Vuex included, but seriously, who of you likes to write router.js files? Nobody? Yeah, me neither. Because I have to admit, I actually forget how it works, and it's boring, because usually your folder structure is already built how the pages should be used in the end. But, well, what if we actually don't need one? Yeah, do we? If you have the PHP or Python feeling where you just add a file and it's there and it works, couldn't we that kind of introduce in our ecosystem? Imagine we have a pages folder and then have an about.view and an index.view, and wouldn't it be amazing if the about.view just links to /about and the index page just goes to /? Yeah, that works in Nuxt. File-based routing is introduced by default. Put stuff in your pages folder and it will appear there. No problem at all. Similar to the Vuex store. Jay-Z outlined that before in the talk. Vuex stores can get pretty lengthy, and that's just a small example. I even copied things out, and it's not even done yet. I mean, there's way more there. There's the scroll bar there going along, and I mean, especially the modules. So you import your modules from user card favorites from somewhere, and then define them there, and probably they're just a JS file besides the index.js, for example, or they're in a folder. Do we need it? Well, why can't we just apply the same concept as we did with file-based routing? And we actually can. We have a store folder and then have cards.js, favorites.js, index.js, and all of these just export the state, mutations, actions, getters, and so on. They're all namespaced module. One module per file, and that's it. You don't have to import that. It is clear. You open up the store folder and see, OK, these are my modules. Great. But wait. There was a folder, right? Yeah, there's a folder. So you can also use nested modules. So you have a user and then maybe settings. So you have a settings.js in this user folder. Or you could even use a folder to fine-grain split up your module. So you have actions, getters, mutations, state.js. And you just export, for example, your mutations here. So if your module is very large, no problem. Just split it up in a few files, and that works. Fine-grained control and splitting is possible, also out of the box. No configuration needed. I promise. Isn't that nice? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. OK, it is optimized, yeah? It's no rocket science. It's also no rocket included. OK, we have performant production builds. OK, that could mean anything, right? So let's make this clear. Code splitting and critical CSS per route, which means if you have a page, say about.view, defined in your pages folder, nice, you load some components there, what happens? That only the app shell, so Vue and some basic Nuxt logic will be loaded, and actually the code, the JavaScript needed for that route. And also only the critical CSS, so the CSS included in the components, in the page component, and whatever you define as global CSS. You won't load unneeded JavaScript and CSS. And also this comes out of the box with the file-based routing approach. We have smart prefetching. So if no data saver is enabled and the user has a good connection, so 3G and above, every link that the user sees in its viewport that links to another Nuxt page will be preloaded. Sorry, prefetched, not preloaded. It will be prefetched. So every page that the user could click on is already there. So it's very fast. He doesn't have to download the JavaScript for that page because it will be prefetched already. You can also disable that if you want, but it's a nice feature that speeds up your page. And there's the modern mode. Yeah, we said before Babel is transpiling our stuff, nice, but most of the people use evergreen browsers, so Chrome, Firefox, and so on. And what happens is, why should we give them the transpiled code? They already understand the newest features. So what the modern mode does, it detects, is this a up-to-date, good browser? If so, it will give them the smaller and more efficient code. And if it's like IE11, yeah, just give them the transpiled one. But we're not done yet. Cache busting is included, busted, through Webpack. Webpack adds a content hash to all the images and CSS files and so on. And what happens is this content hash is a file is before the file extension. And when the content changes, the content of the image or of the file, also this hash will change. That means the browser will have basically another file with another name and does not cache it. But if the content stays the same, it will keep the file cached. That means you don't have to check, like adding a version query or however you did before, done automatically. gzip compression. If you use server-side rendering, we have gzip compression in place, no problem, out of the box. Same as HTTP push support, HTTP2 push support. So we try to optimize out of the box as much as we can to give you good performant websites. Okay, versatile. Versatility of Nuxt. So what means versatile? It means that we can change like critical things, for example, the mode we're running in, easily. So Nuxt is very famous for server-side rendering, I guess. But did you know that you can also build like a traditional SPA, like you would do just with Vue with Nuxt? Or static site generation, which we'll hear next talk. Yeah, this is easy in Nuxt. For static site generation, there's just a command. You just use npm run generate or yarn generate, and it will generate your page. And switching between these two modes is changing a string. Just changing a string in the config. That's it. And it can all do all these things. Coming to server-side rendering. Who of you knows how server-side rendering works, actually? Please raise your hand. Okay. Who of you knows how server-side rendering works and wants to explain it here on stage? Yeah, a few. That's good. If somebody really wants, he can come up. I have prepared some slides. No? Okay, then I'll do it, no problem. Let's do a quick time travel. Traditional SSR. So you have your PHP application, server with PHP running, and you have a browser. Yeah, I really like Firefox. As you see, it could be any browser, it doesn't matter. And it sends a request to the backend, so to your server, kind of. And then your PHP, Python, whatever application does a query to your database, for example. And database will return a result. Okay. And then the backend will send the HTML, all the things over. And boom, your site is visible. Okay. Quite easy, right? Traditional server-side rendering. But you have this click and wait for every page, so this happens all the time. It will all the time return the full HTML, all the data that's basically already there. Not very effective, I would say. So let's go to a typical SPA. You have the browser again, and then there's a request, but to a CDN. So all the assets are static. And the CDN, or like, you can also just call it server, that's fine, will return JavaScript files, as you know. And then the JavaScript is parsing, so the browser has to parse the JavaScript, then otherwise there's no HTML. The JavaScript is generating the HTML. And then your page is kind of visible. So after this parsing step, you see things. But then you maybe still have to call an API, do a request, get your data, get a response, and then, when the response is there, then your page is fully visible. The good thing is, on further navigation, you don't have to do all the things again because the app shell is there. So basically your app is there. Just maybe do another API call if you change pages, and it will just get the new JSON maybe. So the further navigation is very smooth, a better user experience. But of course, the initial request, this parsing here, where you maybe see like a white screen or maybe a loading spinner, that doesn't look really good, and it can take a lot of time. So yeah, as I said, no full reload needed on further navigation, no click and wait, better UX, a better user experience compared to this click and wait approach, but slow time to first paint, one of the key performance indicators for websites. White screen or maybe even a flash of content, like boop, it's there, or what? And SEO is also a thing. Most of the crawlers, besides Google, because Google is kind of advanced there, they can't parse JavaScript, so they can't really index your page. And even Google maybe knows JavaScript. Yeah, it can interpret it and parse it. But that doesn't mean that your page is running fast there. It has to dedicate additional resources to actually index all the pages. And yeah, as I said, the UX for the initial load, nah. But now we have these two concepts. Couldn't we get the best of both worlds? Yeah, we can. It's called universal server-side rendering. So we have the browser, again, and it does a request to the Node.js server that's running there. Node.js server is maybe, maybe not, it depends, doing a request to the API. Gets JSON back, and then it will send HTML and JS. It will send basically everything in traditional server-side rendering what it did, plus the whole JS for the SPA. And what happens then is that the users, they're seeing the page as it is. It is not interactive yet, because the browser still has to parse the JavaScript, but they see the content, they can scroll around, and yeah, the page is visible. Then JS downloaded, JS parsed, and then hydration kicks in. Hydration means Vue will take the static HTML coming from the server and transform it into dynamic DOM elements that can actually react to client-side changes and to data changes. And after that, you could do another request, and it behaves similar to an SPA. So just the first initial request is server-side rendered. Also, just a remark, if you think, okay, this API, it has to be Node. No, it doesn't matter how the API is written, in which language, it doesn't matter at all. You need this Node.js server here to actually render the Vue components with the data you get there, but you don't have to use Express or anything as the API. You can use whatever you want. So it's kind of language agnostic at that point. Advantage, fast time to first paint. Perfect for SEO because the crawlers will get the HTML from the server anyway. They see everything, they get the data, nice. Same for social network sharing, no problem, because you can set all the meta tags, Facebook, Twitter, and so on. They all will show the preview that you actually want. That works. And in the end, there's only one server call to the Node.js server on the initial request, and every further request just works as an SPA. Okay. Of course, that's not a silver bullet. There are also problems. Who guessed it? Yeah, you need a server running all the time. Or maybe not. Yeah, let's see this in the next talk. It's prone to memory leaks. That's a huge thing, actually, with Nuxt.js. So memory leaks, if you don't or if you do mistakes, which we all do, it can happen. It is not hard. It's not easy to chase down. It is possible, but even forgetting to remove a listener or maybe setting a timeout on server side leads to memory leaks. That's a problem. And also a thing that hopefully change in the future. Not all Vue plugins and components are server-side ready. It's not hard to do so, actually. It's not hard to think about a server-side rendering approach and keep that in mind when building your library. But not all plugins do that, or not all components, because they're not aware of it. So yeah, that's basically server-side rendering. I hope this helped with understanding. Did it? Yes? No? Yes? Good. Okay, coming to modular. Yeah. Again, disclaimer as usual. But why modularity? Why does it matter? First, we don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? I mean, you're pulling thousands of NPM packages when installing Vue or Nuxt, so that's basically the same, but maybe a bit too much. However, there's a single responsibility approach per module. One module can do one thing, and you can then compose modules as you wish. Also, modules means the logic is isolated, decoupled, can be reused, and is testable. And of course, it's also easy to share into open source. So how does Nuxt actually support modularity? First of all, we have Nuxt modules. The Nuxt expose a very simple and plain API, so you have basically no limits. You just have to export a function at the end that does something. It's not like add X classes and use this method. It's just one function you have to export in the end. Then we have Nuxt hooks. Not like React or Vue hooks. Nuxt hooks, you can change the behavior with it of Nuxt. So you can say, in the build step, please emit another asset, or log this and that, or do this. So that there are a lot of options there and a lot of opportunities. So you can change the framework's behavior. Also, we have a module template in place. So if you want to work on a module, you can download the GitHub repository, fork it, copy the code, whatever, get started. We have a test suite in place already, a small README. And if you open source your module, you can always submit it to Awesome Nuxt, which is a curated list of nice modules, websites, and so on. Configuration. Yeah, I counted kind of to modularity. Nuxt only has one config file, Nuxt.config.js. But you don't need it. You can just start a Nuxt application without it as well. It works out of the box. The nice thing with the config file is it can be written in ESM syntax, so import or export default. In Node.js, you usually use require and modules that exports, but this is the future. And as I said, we provide sensible defaults. So you only need to configure what you actually need. If you want to extend a Webpack config, sure, add that. If you want to disable minification, no big deal. But by default, everything works. If you want to tweak something, do it. We have all the ways you can set documented. If they are linked to some other like other libraries like Webpack and so on, there's link and documentation to that as well. You can set whatever you want. So there is no login. You have the freedom. And talking about freedom, Nuxt.js is developer friendly. Yeah, a lot of friendliness and joy is included. I promise. I promise personally, because one of our visions is that we want you to love Nuxt.js as much as we do. This starts with bringing an elegant CI or UI for the developers. You know, when you're compiling or building your Nuxt project, you have this nice Webpack bar built by Puya, one of our core contributors. And also here, we have the spirit of open source in mind, because this is not only for Nuxt.js. You only need Webpack to use this, this package. And also other frameworks like Next.js have adopted this one. So we also provide, as I said, another elegant UI. As soon as your Nuxt.js application is running, you see which mode, so production development, which rendering mode, the memory usage, where it's listening on, and you can actually even add that some nice message to the box. Yeah. So it is completely customizable for you. You have the choice and the freedom. And of course, our latest news, our latest new feature there, latest quality of life feature is this neat loading screen. When Nuxt is loading, you have the Webpack bars here, but you also have it in the browser. So all quality of life changes. We want to improve your feelings and your workflow with Nuxt. And one other thing is Nuxt plus community is love. I'm not kidding, yeah? We're trying to give back as much as possible. We're trying to improve our documentation on a day-to-day basis. We have translations in various languages, so we're trying doing our best. We have, similar to Vue, an RFC process for major changes to gather feedback and don't exclude somebody. So if somebody says, I have a use case for this and that, and gives feedback, we try to include it. And we don't want to change things so they don't work for people. We want to improve Nuxt together with you. We also have a Discord server, discord on nuxt.js.org, very easy, for help, suggestions, and also some chit-chatting, of course. You can go there, ask a question. There are active people helping, not only core team members, other contributors, other people who like the framework, and they help you out. No problem at all. If you don't have time for like a GitHub issue, then you can ask there. We also have, a bit similar to Vue, a timed release plan for future versions. It's not as slowly paced, I would say, because we do minor releases every month if there are new features. Patches are released as soon as possible. And major releases are coming roughly every half year, depending on whether like Babel or Webpack is changing, maybe also earlier, but usually every half year. And we have no LTS version, but we have an end of life, which means every Nuxt.js version is supported, every major Nuxt.js version, until a specific amount of time, and that is usually after the second release. So you can basically skip one major release and don't have to upgrade and implement breaking changes. Though we suggest it, but we want people to give time to people to adapt. And we also have a contribution guide to make it easy for new people to contribute. And that's the point where I ask, please, contribute. Give something back. Because it is not hard, if you see a typo in the docs, to click the Added on GitHub Pages button, change a typo, send in a pull request. We are really happy about it. And slightly before I started talking, I just checked my GitHub notifications, and there are people contributing either code to Nuxt.js, for example, first-time contributors, but also to the docs. And it's amazing to see that people are giving back, people trying to get involved. And please, guys, try it. It's open source. Try it. Right. So, as I said, you have the freedom, and I give you the freedom to decide now. Do we either do a live demo, or do we do Q&A? So who's for live demo? Okay, who's for Q&A? Okay, 2 people, no problem. I'll ask you a question later. And that's where the oh yeah part kicks in. All right, just getting started. It's quite easy because we have a code sandbox template set up. You can see it on template.nuxt.js.org. And locally, you can use create Nuxt app, either with Vion or npm, to get started. All right. Okay, no, not yet, almost done. Let's do this. Oh boy. So what we'll do is we'll use template.nuxt.js.org. As I said, we just use Code Sandbox because it's an amazing tool. I'll just show you how easy it is to get set up. Let's zoom a bit out maybe, and full screen. Okay, that's a bit too much maybe. Is it readable from behind? Yeah, good, perfect. Okay, so I have this Nuxt.js starter here, and what I do is just click fork. So you have to log in with GitHub, no problem at all, and just click fork. And what happens is, yeah, you fork the sandbox down here, and it's building. And that's basically how you, for example, also start a bug reproduction or similar. Okay, so you do this, and you also have already your basic structure given. The folder structure, as I said, assets, pages, and so on. And I'll show you some of the things I talked before, and let's see how it works. At first, the assets folder. Sorry, I have to turn around a little because I haven't mirrored it. The assets folder is for CSS files, image, and so on. All these files are touched by Webpack. So as I said, content hash, they will, as I said, compile as CSS and so on. You see the loading screen right there, and okay, there it is. Then the components folder. It's not mandatory, as it says in the README. Every folder also has a README to describe what should be there or not. And it's not mandatory. If you don't like the components folder, scratch it. If you want to rename it, no problem. If you want to have all the things in the source folder, change it. No big deal. Yeah, the layouts, as I said, for example, having a sidebar, not having a sidebar. And middleware, it's basically executed before each request, as the term middleware suggests. Okay, let's go to pages about that view. Let's make this a bit smaller here. Okay, so we have all the things, and there's this about button. But what we're doing, there's hello from whatever. Let's just scratch that, maybe like this, and say hello from Verona. No, come on, Verona. Oh, sorry, it's H1, of course. Okay, save it. Let's go to about a view. Hello from Verona. Easy. Hot module load also included, of course, similar to Vue.CI or anything. Okay, let's experiment with the store a little maybe, because or first of all, let's add another page. Let's add a page. Name suggestions for a page. Page. Page.view. A very creative name, I have to admit, yeah. Okay, let's add a template and just say, what should we add here? Page, yeah. Amazing, amazing, yeah. I like to consequentially approach here. Not consequentially, but page. Wow. Come on. Code Sandbox and VS Code are clever. Okay, what we can do now, we can jump to that and say page. Page! Wow! Whew! Okay, what we want now, we have the store here. And let's add an index.js, right? And let's say we export the state here, okay? State is a function, as Jay-Z mentioned before. It has to be a function returning an object, because otherwise you have shared state on the server, and that means problems, and you don't want problems, I swear. Okay, and because we're consistent, of course, we say page. And what's the string here? Page. Perfect. Oh wait, I'll try another style, right? Okay, so we have page.view here, and let's say $store dot state page. What will happen? It will break because we only allowed one root module, one root check. Sorry, that's fine. And even there, we have this error overlay. Sorry, this error overlay here, saying, "Look, this is the problem." I mean, I could increase the window, but this is the problem here. Look, you have an error there. You see it. It's very annoying, but it forces you to write good code. It also shows you all ESLint errors. ESLint, yes. Okay, fix that. Save it. Store is undefined. Why? Because we have to restart the Nuxt server for that. So let's do this, because otherwise it doesn't recognize that there is actually a store file added, because it will check the file system before. We want to fix that in the future, but that's a thing right now. Sometimes you have to restart the server. So, and there is it. There is page. Okay, yeah. Thanks. Whew. Let's do something even more amazing, because I said nested modules are possible. So we could, of course, we could add here a page.js, but why not adding a, no, not deleted, come on. Add a page folder. How about that? A page folder, it's real. And let's add in here a okay, ID, let's say id.js. And if we now say export state, and again, it has to be a function. Oh yeah, sorry, const, damn it. This overlay is catching everything. Export const state, and we have an idea. Why not doing page is page, but with lowercase e? Yeah, we're really fancy today. Okay, and let's duplicate that whole line. And what we have, store.page.id state. I think I'm doing it wrong here, but let's see. Yeah, of course. Exactly. That might crash, but let's see. Still undefined. Damn it. That's a good point. I'll first change this thing here to foo, because we're all developers. And foo is a very bad example, but yeah, restart. Good point. I love the feedback from the audience. It's rebuilding. This loading screen is incredibly amazing. And there we go. Page. ID, page. Legit. So nested modules are actually quite easy to work with. Just add files in the file system. Okay, restart the server every now and then, and it works. Then we have plugins. Plugins is basically where you register your Vue plugins and global components. So what you can do there is, as I said, if you have a base component, you can use Vue.component, register them everywhere. Works out of the box, no problem at all. So we can do that as well. Say components.client.js. Why we have this client kind of extension here? Because that will already tell Nuxt, okay, only register or only use this plugin on the client side. On server side, it won't be touched at all. I'll remove this here because we also want to have the declaration on server side. So components, come on, components.js is also fine. But if we will populate it in a second. Let's go to page first, because I think there's even something more important. Let's add a script tag here. Yeah, Vue component, Vue single file component, and we have a head function. And the head function is here to define the meta values. So what we can do here is title, and which title should that page have? So creative today. Page. Okay, and what we're doing, we're taking this here. Of course, we have to return that here as well. And like that, maybe. Perfect. What we're doing now is we have a new tab here, and open that, and it has the title page. Easy as that. Thanks. So these are all very, very simple things to get started, but as you see, you don't have to configure a lot. Of course you can. You can open up your Nuxt.config.js. There's already some things inside. You can completely remove that, it will still work. You can remove all of this. You can completely remove the Nuxt.config.js. You can delete it and restart the server, and it will still work. Because it said you don't need it. Loading screen, of course, as usual. But if you want to configure something, first, it still works. Nice. If you want to configure something, do it. Say, a new file, nuxt.config.js, like we had before. You can use export default, again, as we had before. And you can define, for example, default meta tags here. Yeah? You can use a head function, a head object or function here to say title foo or whatever. And similar here, Nuxt config changes. Sometimes you have to restart it. As I said, we will fix this in the futures with Nuxt workers. And this is the default value. It will be on every page except where you set the title in another head function. So let's go to, no, that didn't work. Because, sorry? Oh, Jesus. Okay, so still restarting. And giving it a shot full screen. Foo! That's it. All right, so I hope I showed you some simple examples. The thing is, sometimes you're like, okay, can I have some real-world examples somewhere to see how people are doing it actually, how people are implementing various stuff? And the answer is, sure. We have in the Nuxt.js, in the Nuxt.js repository, we have some very nice examples. So if you go here, it's okay, too small, sorry. We have an examples folder, and in there we have a lot of examples. Custom layouts, Docker, Jests, with meta infos, name views, and so on. A lot of them. Just you see, okay, how can I use Nuxt with my favorite library? If there isn't one, no big deal. You can do it. And then you can, for example, add an example there to show other people how it works. And if you want like a real-life project, I basically started doing every page I build in public, and I want to open source it, and I do it. So for example, if I go to my own portfolio, it's a very simple one page. Yeah, cookie banner, because we're in the EU. So very simple page. And at the end, there's this GitHub button, and you can click it. And you go into the GitHub repository, we have a few commits, and you see this is all Nuxt. You can see how I did things, how it worked, and check out what maybe interesting pattern I used or what is bad, and send a pull request in. And that works basically for this page, for my company's page, for almost everything I built, because I want to share things with you, and I want to also help you seeing like real-life Nuxt.js projects and learn from that as well. With that, the last recommendation I actually have is trying stuff out. And we're almost done. This was found on the Discord. I did not make that. I did not make that. Yeah? And I think there's something fundamentally wrong here, right? jQuery and Vanilla.js should be switched. Yeah? Of course, of course. Okay, so before I let you go and hand the stage over to Debbie, I want to ask you for feedback, maybe, for all the speakers here, not just for me. Please give feedback so we can improve and you can hear even more awesome talks next time. Slides and feedback for this talk are here. There's a QR code if you want to scan it. It works. We're in the 21st century. I want to say, you are great. Thanks all. Thanks a lot.